Welcome back. Got some morning mist. This is a. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe turn that down there. Okay. Um. Pardon me if that's. Okay. So. We've been talking about Damodar Kund over here, and then we ended up looking at this nucleus and really following this over this way, which took us over here into this region. I noticed Mount Kailash is here and kind of thought about its relationship a bit with regard to Damodar Kund. And I started looking around it, like looking at it from this angle. There's this path that runs up to it, just straight up to it, and then a secondary one that goes next to it. This one makes a clear arc. So it's definitely some kind of current flow, which from these two and this one kind of suggests this direction current flow. So there's probably a current coming from over here somewhere. Somewhere over here, maybe even like all the way somewhere over here. But some current without going too much into that and looking for it, because I don't know. Generally applying a pressure here, and then another interacting current coming this way, applying a pressure here. So what my thought was, it goes in here, and it interacts in through here, here, but out here. So it's got like an outlet here, right there, and an inlet here. So it's got this two separate directions, where over on this side it's generally pushing into it this way, and then down here it's branching out to the sides, I guess, and just holding pressure, while over here it comes in, this one reaches it, but like perfect balance in the pressure from this way and this way, so it just like squeezes it with this side squeezing it as well, this squeezing it as well, and then a current coming in adjacent here. So two currents, one this way that goes up to here, and a second one that goes in this way and up to here. That kind of all of those currents plus current over here, I guess, flowing this way to kind of hold that boundary while this goes this way, and maybe interacts with it. Maybe it flows in there even, I don't know. But like that way. That's so I was thinking about that, and I noticed, well, there's this huge lake here that kind of looks like it is pointing at it with this like thing, this structure. That when I see things like that, my mind turns to body spraying in a direction. So I figured maybe something of that nature, and these look both of them look very related to the stream coming from Damodar Kund, which I kind of, when I talked about it, I looked over here and I said, well, it looks like it went in here, or it went in like over into this region and came back out this way. And like filled this region and then ramped up this way. It goes up there. I can't believe the things I'm about to just talk about right now. I'm so excited. There's so many little things I saw. I gotta make sure to get them all. Okay. So we got that going on. Like, clearly whatever's going on here, something is creating these bodies of water and spraying over here. So at some point I said, well, what is this lake? What is this lake? What can I find out about this lake? And I looked into it. It's called commonly called Lake Rakshastal, which is a saltwater lake south of Mount Kailash. And then this one, their names are not the same on here, but what I found it called is Lake Manasarovar, which is a freshwater lake. So there's saltwater, freshwater. Huge saltwater, freshwater lake. This one's called, the left one, south of Mount Kailash, is called the Lake of the Demon and considered darkness. Whereas the other one, Manasarovar, is considered brightness. So the saltwater one is considered dark. The freshwater light. Then there's a short river here connecting the two that slowly, I guess, that flows fresh water into the saltwater lake. So that's interesting. It has 4 islands. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4. When I read that, I was like, that's interesting. There's islands. Didn't really look around at it. It's probably etched by current flows. I tried to find a bathymetric data. Maybe this will have it. I doubt it. It's mostly ocean. It has like Hudson Bay, but I doubt it has this. No. Maybe? There they are. That's all we get. Nothing to add really, especially. It's decent for topography. Can't like 3-dimensionally look at it, but let's check out Damodar Kunda. It's pretty subtle. There's that. I mean, it's apparent, but it's also subtle. I don't even know if I can find Damodar Kund in this. Maybe just based on the terrain. Looks like it didn't refresh it. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, it doesn't have it. Quick little pause at Dwarka here. Okay, phone. I know it's 9 o'clock. Okay. Let me just finish what I wrote down. The river is believed to be created by rishis to it, which is like gurus, masters, maybe gods even. I can't remember. To add pure water from this one to that one. Tibetan name means the dark lake of poison. It's Lagnagar Cho and Lanang So. The dark lake of poison. So, huge saltwater lake up here, directly adjacent to a huge freshwater lake. That is mind-boggling to me. Although I think I found some like connections. Let me keep going though. Says to be created for the express purpose of garnering superpowers. This is on Wikipedia, I think. Through acts of devotion and meditation to Shiva, who resided in Mount Kailash. So this lake is apparently created for the express purpose of garnering superpowers through acts of devotion and meditation to Shiva, who resided out at Mount Kailash. Interesting, interesting. I watched some videos of like people hiking, whatever the terminology. I feel weird calling it hiking when it's like sacred. Many of them, but what I was gonna say though, I've never seen it in other places that I've researched. Not Damodar Kund, not Girnar, where like huge crowds of people are just walking, prostrating, laying on the ground, fully laying. Like first putting their forehead to the ground and kneeling on their knees, and then fully laying down, prostrating, and walking a little bit more, doing it again, no matter the terrain. I was like, whoa, this is. And they circumnavigated because no one has ever apparently made it to the top of Mount Kailash, even though it's not as tall as Mount Everest. It's harder to climb. No one's ever climbed it. And so the like typical thing to do that has become the way of approaching it, I guess, is to go around it, literally, like something of that nature. Or like, I think the person I watched actually started like down here somewhere in a town somewhere. There's a town over here. Maybe that one or somewhere where they spent the whole time yeah, somewhere over here they spent the whole time traveling through here. Got near here, walked up here, walked around it, something like that, and back, I guess. I also went to this lake, which is considered it's called Gauri, Gauri Lake, Kund, birthplace of the wife of Lord Shiva. Found it very interesting that it's got like an arrowhead, and then it's got like a pointing in a direction. Look, and it's got these things behind it, like it was an arrow moving almost. Wife, I was thinking maybe this is like the location where the masculine like mountain formed, and maybe this was a feminine like water storage area that like volumes of water were contained in, adjacent to, and like energetically because of and related to, and vice versa. Mount Kailash? I don't know. This is a thought. Okay, I don't want to get too caught up on Mount Kailash alone, first of all, because it's seriously sacred, and it's almost like I'm unworthy. Like, oh, I'm probably not worthy. That's what I think. See all these people spent their lives probably, you know, living in the mountains, doing things I see in those videos, like skinning the, what's it called? Getting the wool off the sheep. I don't even know what it's called. Uh, work in the fields. Feel unworthy. That's all. Okay. So, I'm just thinking about it, like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Then I start looking around. I'm like, okay, well, where's this lake? And I end up finding it's about here on the magnetic anomaly map. So here's the mantle puncture hole. Here's Saurashtra Peninsula, India as a whole. And over right here, so I found this in looking around. I was like, where's this? anyway? Like, where does this structure go? Anyway, because I haven't really like pinpointed some things. This looks pretty defined. So 95, 28.5 or something. Basically, it's right here. Yeah, like right here. So interestingly, there's a structure going from here's the mantle puncture hole. Generally, starting below it at the neck of Sarastra and going across here to here, an undercurrent wall, like a huge maybe batholith undercurrent structure there that ends there. And so I've talked about this in the past. We see right here the mantle puncture hole. It has this shape where it goes in, spirals in. I consider it like a plug. And behind it, though, dwarfing it completely, is a larger structure, just like it almost, that's starting here. So we got this little starting here. It goes down and around and around and around. This one goes down and around and around. And maybe trails off there, but also goes around. And, like, ultimately has a structure that looks to go maybe like around like this, an ammonite structure. It's hard to say because of all the missing data, but I feel like based on this and what I'm about to show, that there's merit to that. There was like generally a eddy here that was related to what's going on where we're looking at. Where's this? 75.5, 33.5. 33.5, 75.5. Is that what I said? You know, that is kind of right where it's pushing in there. Okay. My interpretation is it's pushing in there. Like, and like occupying more space here than over here because there's more of a current going that way in this region. It's able to like push the boundaries more. Okay, so what's really interesting is, right, so back to the lake is about there. So if this is an ammonite structure here, the lake is like kind of on its boundaries, depending on exactly where its boundaries are, and the other lake is right next to it, so also kind of on its boundaries. So what I was thinking, that's why I was like, wait a minute, where's Damodar Kund in relationship to this? And I was thinking maybe this is related to it. That's why I looked. But it's actually not. Let's see, where is... I wonder what that structure was at this... Let's see, 88... Okay, 23... 23 point... Or 29... 29.88. 29.88. Okay. Which is 29.88. I really don't see any. I guess this. It's probably that. Yeah, okay. Okay, so there's that. That's interesting. Maybe continuing. But we got the lakes. We got Mount Kailash is also along this boundary. So if there's a current, is what I was thinking. If there's a current flowing from Damodar Kund that then basically runs into resistance of this like puffed out ammonite that's just like holding the boundaries of this region completely, like nothing can really just like get in, so it kind of like runs into it at that point, which is at these lakes. So it's coming this way out here, and then it effectively runs into the ammonite shape here, which then I guess interacts with it and brings salty. Maybe the ammonite shape was more salt-based material that it was able to exchange with, whereas over here it had like a separator space, so it was just the fresh water building a lake separate to this one. I'd really like to see bathymetric data for these, but it looks like there's not, at least not easily accessible. Maybe if I looked more. I didn't look that much, honestly. But then I was trying to find where, okay, then, like, as I kept doing this, I'm like, okay, then, where is, like, say here, this point here, 75.5, 31, so 31 and 75.5. So around here, right? And if you look, there's this little, like, thing here. Like that thing. Let's see where this is. 72, 27. $29.5, 74. That one looks way off. That's why I'm looking. 29.5, 74.5. Like, is that around here? 29.5. Yeah, I wish this had an easier way to do this. So maybe I was thinking too small. But I feel like I see generally, like even around here, like a spiral that has like the dendrites of the ammonite up here. Maybe going across all the way there. Or down this way, and this is like blast zone. Escape velocity currents going straight paths away. But there's maybe there was an eddy here. Like churning and then around that way. That sent off currents that way. Maybe around there too. Down there. This doesn't quite make sense unless it's cutting over, like making it through this as a cross current that's interacting, making it. I guess it's possible there's a current generally going across here. Or this way? Probably not this way. I mean, if it's this way, it's holding this boundary by just being there, and then it's pushing on this boundary more by turning this way and holding that boundary more. Especially if it's funneling between the Himalayas and this undersurface that kind of prevents like water seeped into the earth from passing through, so it basically forms a channel due to the depth of water in the earth and functioning here, where it's not just like on the surface, it's flowing like also deeply within the earth layers. Does that make sense? I mean, these don't make sense. I feel like if that was happening, it would have ones going like that way. This arc, I guess it could go reach down and up. That's interesting that there's kind of like the deck and traps area that has arcs here. Like shallogram teeth looking things in the bird structure that then kind of point to here, and then there's this arc. Like there was a pressure here as if there was a flow, like a long... Oh. Hard to say, but it looks like it. It looks like there's a flow kind of pushing in at this point and at this point. Actually, where the Kaligandaki River is at the point between it. So maybe there's a current going up, like separate, kind of like the pressure points at Damodar Kund that are separate in terms of where they're applying the most pressure. The ones on this wall that I talk about in my episode called Pressure Points. So I'll just move on. Okay. It looks like that's one right there, which would kind of explain why there's certain weaknesses where the current from the other side flowed into resistance and like found etched pathways between. And made it through the resistance, and maybe even went through to interact with this region somewhere. I don't know. Like, based on this, maybe that interacted with here. It actually looks like it pushed in further. Like the water from this side couldn't advance as much. It pushed that in further. But then next to it is this whole stretch where like a width of current was applying a pressure there. I'm guessing it flowed like this way and was related to a spiral of the ocean waters atop this when the earth was flooding. That was spinning here and held there by outside pressures. Otherwise, it's just cross currents. I guess it's possible there's like cross currents generally coming in here that are each from somewhere else. That, like the one here, interacts with some other current coming across like this way, maybe. Like maybe this current continued across that way, and then some of it went up around this way. That's what I was thinking, is some of it went this way, through here, and generally across like there, or somewhere around like that, while another current went this way, which interacted in this region, created this thing. So like, came across though that way, as well as coming from that way to go through these openings in the Himalayas. But when it did that, it interacted with this current coming across this way, creating the Tarim Basin region's like structure, as well as this and this, just interacting as it flowed across and branched off. But it also continued across here. Like, it looks very similar. This right here looks a lot like this region, like from Turkey over here, looks a lot like that. Even with this region kind of mimicking this, like an inverse though. Inverse of this island. What is that? If I have it right in my head, Cyprus? Oh my god, I did it. I did it. I was like, oh, isn't that like over here somewhere? But that's real interesting. It does look like there was like, because essentially in other episodes when we were talking about Canada, so now we're like all over the place in terms of relationships, because we saw the Azores Plateau region had a current come this way that wrapped around and went like this, basically, and another one that went kind of like on this side from here, but on this side, and went around, while another current coming off of Africa went basically up and around and like did something like this, while this flowed like this on the side of that though, creating this wedge. But I like this current comes down and goes over. I don't know, does it go in here? I would say so. It probably also goes up that way, but like goes this way. That might be why there's like things like this, like a channel for it to go back up that way as well, because it bends off and goes over this way, but then it branches that way, branches this way. So there's like cross currents. It's literally like the ocean at different depths, where some, like, there are currents that are going different ways at different depths. So they're crossing one another, interacting with one another, but this one comes over this way, like, and interacts here, and then it like holds this boundary. Honestly, now that I look at it, this, where this arc is, it just looks the same thing. Just like this, with the mouth, like it looks kind of like a really wide open mouth. Mouth open. Over here, not so open, like it's sequentially, although maybe like that, I don't know. It's sequentially advancing to different structure, but it's still like in a row, kind of like this. All California and this region, Sulawesi, North Maluku Islands, it all formed adjacent to one another and mimic the features of one another as a result of the process that was exemplified here. It's not always so obvious, but here it was. It is also pretty obvious here, I'd say. This stretch. Maybe even like the whole of the Mediterranean, actually. Like this, more like Turkey, this region, over to like here. With this portion more like the rest of it. Maybe this has a weird shrunk one over here, and then for the first portion. I don't know. Maybe goes to another mouth open here. Like out that way. So there's probably water flowing this way, across, just across, and then water flowing this way. That's generally going over here and over that way, down here. And they're interacting in this region with undercurrents that are also shaping things. Even it produced an arc there, similarly. So there's probably a flow. Let's see. This flow is going generally this way. Let's pull it up. Let's pull up some flows. This flow over here is going down this way, but then this is going this way. This is my interpretation, of course. There's definitely evidence against some of these flows. It's a little maybe too generic. Especially up here, mainly this flow. But essentially my thought is it goes counterclockwise into Hudson Bay. That's really what I was trying to look for. So if there's water going this way, and then it goes out here, but it also goes around, that means there's some water that's not going into here, that's going past here. That maybe went more so that way. Before the Earth expanded, especially. Or else it's coming like this way, and then coming off of here and across. Or I guess across at all these inlets. Oh my god, across at all the inlets. Could it be? Like the flow is coming over here. This is going across. And maybe this goes across to here. And like holds this boundary. And then this portion that like doesn't go through this one. Through this way and across. Like this way, bend maybe because of the curvature. And then this one across to here. Just holding the boundary. Oh my god. And then like across, I guess, across this way as well. To up here. Or maybe this one's more so held by a current coming that goes up this way, over here, and then across. And like holds that boundary. Cross holds that boundary. So that water that advances can't interact, like their region of interaction forms the boundary. So in these regions, this whatever water is going this way maybe penetrates through the boundary and bends the physical boundary of the two waters so that they're not just like flat, but one is like bent at pressure points where it gets through and makes channels that way, so as to relieve some of the pressure. But like there's actually basically like Jupiter. Let's watch YouTube. Jupiter turning. I don't know. Cloud. Maybe Jupiter cloud direction map. Let's do that. Maybe something. Yeah, there we go. Totally opposite directions. Very much like that was happening with water on the surface of the Earth as it shaped the Earth, where water went this way and then another like thinner channel got through here. Another one got through here. And I guess what happened was like if that happened where like these arcs are dependent on a flow outward, then the weak point like rebounded and like their interaction at those weak points formed these types of structures. The arcs that then are not, like they're literally from like the center of this arc to the center of the next arc. I mean, in a way, here to here, not quite, but like that, and then this to there. I guess that's kind of relatively center to like this arc. Which gives me the impression that it's basically just a more complex interaction at the boundary where it's actually getting through. Maybe it responds by overwhelming those flow paths, because this kind of gives me the impression. I was thinking, based on Damodar Kund, that a flow got out of here and went across to here, which is kind of pointing generally center at this arc. So maybe it participated in creating this arc. Are we doing morning mist? Yeah, that's fine. What do you mean? Well, I'm sorry if you were enjoying that part of the song, okay? Guys. I don't know. Pardon my bad jokes. I know it happens sometimes. Sometimes. Inexcusable. Some more Mount Kailash details. It is 6,666 kilometers from the North Pole and twice that from the South Pole. Not to point out the 6666, that's just what they said, and I didn't bother to write the miles to make it sound less whoa. But it is related to Shiva, which is interesting. He's kind of more related to like destroyer god concept. But it's 1/3 of the way between the poles. It's said to be powerful currents of energy flowing in the area. Which is interesting. Lord Shiva resides there. Mount Kailash is said to be the gateway to heaven. I was a little confused because Dwarka literally means gateway to heaven. Like it means having gates, but then to heaven, or maybe it's just gateway. Yeah, see, like I also read it as gateway. The city's name literally means gateway, the gateway to heaven. Dwar means gate. Ka references Brahma. So maybe the gateway to Brahma isn't quite heaven. I don't think Brahma is heaven. Yeah, the creator. I mean, that's not quite the same. I guess I could see that. Heaven is like perhaps what it's like being with the creator, one with, but I guess it's possible that Mount Kailash means gateway to heaven, while Dwarka means gateway to God or Brahma or something of that nature. Or they both mean gateway to heaven. But also, someone said stairway to heaven for Mount Kailash. I like that one because then differentiated from gateway, and it kind of makes sense to me. Like, although maybe gateway, I don't know. Because of Dwarka, I'm just like, wait a minute. It's also considered the axis of the earth. That's kind of strange. When I heard that, it made me think of this, and I started looking around. This here, the north terminal of the Earth, formed in the expansion process that was like squeezed into being by these currents flowing around it and compacting it, kind of like the Himalayas. This thing, like the previous Earth, maybe that had one too. And maybe its present location is here, and it got reshaped to be basically Mount Kailash at this point. But like maybe this whole region even is like seeded from a previous terminal. I tried to look around. So if we go to like map Earth ancient, I don't know. I need better ways to look at this. Geology ancient. Previous south north pole of Earth locations. Let's say we need a time frame. Cambrian. No one really cares about the poles. I found interestingly, I found South America. I thought I saved it. I might have left it open in tab. That's forever gone. Let's say 400 MA or something. I don't know if we really bother. There must be scholar. Magnetic North Pole geology. What time frame? Let's just say Devonian. Maybe. I don't know if that's the best time to look for, but North China. Oh. 200, let's say 48. I don't know. Don't know if that's actually what it's saying whatsoever. Low paleo latitude positions of North China. Let's say magnetic. Mount Kailash geology. Paleo magnetic. I don't know how to find this. Some of this stuff is just not easily accessible information. Partly me, partly it's just harder to access. Probably in more languages than English, the more it's in the Himalayas. More it's like legitimately in other languages. I don't know. Okay. Point is, maybe, maybe not. It was a fun idea. It's called the axis of the Earth. Mount Meru, which is again like Girnar, is also called Kailasagiri, and there's a lot of similarities between Girnar and Mount Kailash, where it's almost like two equal opposites, maybe. Because I feel like Mount Girnar represents Mount Meru to a point where, like, I think it's got a square with a hexagon. It's got all these temples on it. It's like accessible, it's subtle, it's not impossible to climb. It's just you don't realize that you're climbing it. Or Mount Kailash, impossible to climb, but people view it as like what they view it as when like Mount Meru, etc. Mount Kailash. I don't know. I don't understand why it's considered Mount Meru. Maybe it has also a hexagonal structure to it, and also square structure, and also other things that I'm not aware of. Also, the guy I was watching the video of was saying it's believed that on the top is a pyramid from the ancient civilization. I was like, that would be incredible. That's what I thought. That would be incredible. Maybe. What if? I don't believe it, but that would be incredible. I wouldn't say it's utterly impossible, but it would maybe just be wishful thinking for that to be the case. I mean, I don't want to take away from the what people say about it, because like a lot of times there's very valid information. I don't really see how it's possible though. Maybe a naturally forming one that represents the energy of pyramids in a profound way. But I don't think there's literally like an Egyptian pyramid that the kingdom extended out here, and this one didn't get damaged but got lifted to the top of this mountain kind of thing, or got damaged but didn't get totally wiped away. It's really quite incredible. Wonder if that's one of those lakes. Doesn't say location. Doesn't say the lake. So cool. A trident. Let's see what else pillar of the world, again, makes me think of, like, maybe it was like this is right now a pillar of the world, I believe, that extends through to the South Pole, really from the South Pole to the North Pole in some way, based on shallograms. That's kind of my interpretation. Although maybe not. Maybe from this pole to that pole. Like there was an actual flow through the Earth down like a vortex column in a toroidal shape that went to the other side. That is the present pillar of the Earth. That's why I'm like, maybe it was the past axis of the Earth, like the pillar of the Earth. But now it moved to a new position, but like it's still labeled and pointed out as being essentially equivalent to this. That's now been reshaped generally, but also like maybe one specific location became Mount Kailash. That was like relevant for some reason for why I would do that. This is really interesting. From it is at the heart of 6 mountain ranges. Let's see, Mount Kailash at heart of 6. I don't know if we can find anything like that. But it's at the, apparently, this is what the video I was watching said, which seemed like they were pretty, not this one, but seemed like they were at least like stating valid information at that point. It's at the heart of 6 mountain ranges, and it is the commencement of 4 major rivers through the Himalayas region. Which to me is another point in this kind of category where it was a pole and it still has some kind of like 4 cardinal direction connection that it's just like able to resonate into its surroundings. Even though it's a pole. I don't know why a pole would have 4 cardinal directions in the same, like right from it. It kind of is one of the directions. And it kind of nicks that. It really ruins the other, like west and east too. You can't even do either. You gotta go south first, and then you can go west east. Okay. Which the rivers are said to stretch to the 4 corners of the world, which is the Indus River, the Sutlej. This map shows it, I think. Indus, Sutlej, Kanki, and Makwanhi, which turn into the Ganges River and Brahmaputra River. So from Mount Kailash, all these rivers flow. Pretty crazy. Like, so what that means to me is to Mount Kailash, all these currents like once flowed. That's kind of my interpretation, at least. That Sutlej River, maybe that's like a Sutlej River. If we can find it in the Himalayas, would be good. So that's I guess that's this one. I don't know where it goes through the Himalayas. Somehow it goes all the way to Mount Kailash. Like, how are there 4 river systems here? It just points to the fact that flows converged on it at a high point and then now flow away from it as that high point, where the flows that converged on it like etched the path to it, so it's like a solid ramp down, so it's able to flow from Kailash to the ocean. All the way around this way, through here, I guess. That way, that way. I mean, that's incredible. It goes up here somewhere and down that way. Through here. Up over this way, maybe down through there somehow. I gotta learn about these rivers more. They seem like significant in terms of really figuring out what is going on over here in terms of the formation of the Himalayas. It's hard to see them and like trace them, their whole path. It's not so simple, just be like, okay. Rivers. Major rivers, Himalayas, mapped. That might not be a bad one to watch. Looks like it might be not in English.
And from here, the river is known as Ganga. Yamuna is the second largest.
Like it didn't even go to this one. I guess this one starts here and goes that way, I say. And joins the Ganga. All these, I guess, also do that. Go this way. Interesting, the mantle puncture holes around there. And then all those rivers are over here. Not over here, though. And then there's other rivers that go past it. I guess this is the Indus, right? Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Did I say all the things? Like, that big ol' ammonite next to the mantle puncture hole is definitely relevant. I'm trying to think if there's anything else around it I was thinking about. Oh my god, this thing. Just do it. Just do it, though. Oh my god. Got that. Oh yeah. I was thinking about. So what's going on here? Like, if there's a current going this way, there's a boundary here. So there's a current going generally opposite it this way. So I was thinking maybe it was like over here, like this segment, generally speaking, was physically up here somewhere. And there was a current going below this and a current going above it. And the current going below it basically ended up still going below it, but from over this way. When the earth expanded, it went like, instead it went over here and below it this way, what was going over here, and then went across here to over here. But the reason it did this is because it also went up this way, and then it runs into this resistance here, which is where this is happening, which I talk about in my Earth's undercurrents video. But I realized basically the doom shape moves over near the mantle puncture hole through here, over here, and then it sends out undercurrents from, specifically once it gets here, it sends out undercurrents of the Deccan traps. Didn't just erupt above the surface, they also went as undercurrents over here from the storm's position of the doom shape, moving over here from Darka through here to here, shaping this, and then moving over here, and then etching over here, and then down, and then moving down here, sending a current atop the surface here, and then moving down here, as well as doing that, sending a current this way, it looks like. Generally speaking, it was going through, like through here and out. And so I just figured it like hit a boundary of the continent, but what it really was hitting was the current flowing this way and just kind of holding the boundary, and then the material accumulated underneath that region over here, which then created this like wobbliness of this, where it's just kind of like ramping up and going sideways around it. When this was going up this way. It's interacting to make this be like that, basically. And that holds this region so that this current can go over here and interact over here. And probably participate in like fracturing this region, I guess. It almost looks like a flame was focused there that maybe influenced the rest of the seafloor in ways needed to happen to finish the expansion process. I don't know. Okay. What else? Anything else? I guess I could just call it on this one. I was definitely still thinking about this. Also, I noticed I'm used to myself being in a different position, so I put out this shallogram image, and I was atop it. I don't know if I can find it now, but I guess any will do that has enough of the right definition. The one I picked was really good, but I put it under my picture in part, and you could still see the definition, but I think it was way higher. Take me higher. Really, any would do if it just had some freaking. It just needs the right definition. Like, this might have enough. It's just not quite good enough to compare. Okay, I think we're approaching it. Oh. Oh my god. I should have done this if I'm gonna do this. Okay. Just skip ahead, I guess. I should have started at the beginning, I guess. I know it was earlier than where I was looking. I don't know what I was doing. There it is. We found it. Okay, let's start on this one. Not the best angle, but let's turn it, I guess. Got it this way. So we were looking at this like Hershey kiss in the nucleus region, and then this like shallogram out here. The side lobe thing. Oh, I even had the picture still open. This would be like Greenland, I guess. Like that general region with the opening. For some reason it doesn't look as clean, that angle. That size. Yeah, because it's not a fucking shallogram, man. He's stupid. He's so fucking stupid, man. He's so stupid, though. Did you see how stupid? Why are you still this? This looks like it could relate to how Iceland formed practically. Like some upwelling from a place like that. And an equivalent. So if this is kind of like Greenland, and then around here is like here. And then it's got some shallogram teeth features even up here, I noticed. So maybe like a boundary like there. Some inner teeth along the way around here. So then go through here. I guess over here maybe. I don't know. Let's find some. Just checking what angles we got. We got all this stuff going up. Different structure one here. This we can kind of see it. I was just looking to see if maybe there's some further comparisons over here. But my thought was maybe, so like, before the Earth expanded, so I got some pictures. Expanding Earth maps. Let's just see. Atlantic. So like that Hershey kiss thing, this Hershey kiss thing, is here. So if we look at this map, here's this Arabian Peninsula, so it's like here. And then that structure's that way. So the other way would be like the opposite lobe. So I was thinking maybe the other lobe like goes over here through Antarctica and then into Australia, where it has like an equivalent of this that then was previously before, like, so this was up here, this was over here. I think if we look at this, we can see how Madagascar, Sri Lanka, and India were conjoined in there with Antarctica, Eastern Antarctica. So maybe that thing's had like a boundary of Eastern Antarctica and Western Antarctica, like over here, like this side. Western Antarctica had a current flow passing through here into here, so maybe it's different somehow, like off to the side enough that it's more like South America is, and Africa, and over here relative to the Hershey and its Hershey Kiss and its shallogram. It's hard to say because we don't know, like, Antarctica topography without ice. Like, okay, I've never really looked at this. It's just hard to say. Like, it's got some potential. Let's see, what angle would it be? It'd be up in there like that. So this point, right there. So India, like here. So if that's the case, then that Hershey Kiss thing would be potentially over here. And then this bends in though, so we gotta remember the Earth before expansion. Bends in over here, and then Antarctica here. So maybe it's got, what I was thinking is maybe it's got like a shallogram, like those features, but they're kind of opposite. Like they should be on the inside, I think, although it's kind of like that. Oh my god, I can't. Okay, then it goes into Australia though, maybe. I was just thinking maybe those two behaved as the opposite to this. I mean, they're certainly not identical. Just like over here, they're not identical. Like one side is like this, another side is like this, like this, like this. Also, I was looking at this, and it looks like over here, right there, it really made me think, well, if I kind of follow that, it generally points up there. So maybe there's an equivalent that goes up this way too. This way, around, and like around. Or like here, and around this way, and back that way. It's not centered with this, though. It's actually, it's centered more so relative to this. Maybe even this chakra that I was talking about is like a ghost chakra that's getting overwritten almost. Here. Where there's this other chakra that it seems to be forming above it, approaching here. Where like a nucleus is, and maybe this nucleus would have become like the next chakra, and then this would have become more like it would have just chained up that way, where this physically moved, like its appearance up there, etc. But it looks like maybe there's a ring right there, like right there. It doesn't even reach to that, and then another one. Or maybe that one actually is more tied to like right there, I guess. As a chakra. When this was a chakra, that was like back here. Not even this one, but the previous one. And then it moved up there. But the previous one maybe produced a smaller structure out here. I mean, big, but like not as defined, I guess. Like there's definitely ones that encompass this, it looks like, that go like in this way. I feel like in here, basically. And then around somewhere. So maybe in and around and running into it. Or even back to here, though. Like to there. It really spans from that chakra to that, like this thing as like a nucleus. Maybe this is a chakra, this is a chakra, and this is a nucleus. In that case, in that, like, thing's perception at least, where that is part of its shallogram shape that goes out this way. So is there another one that goes that way? It goes that way, it goes over. And then from over here goes down, not so much over there. Alright, before I just spend forever meandering around, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out. See you then. See you then. I always say the same things, so I feel weird. That's why. And other reasons, because I'm insane. He's insane. Don't listen to him, he's insane.